Good evening, Toastmasters, both in the room and online. This evening's speech will be regarding ethical leadership and how it presents itself in my personal and professional life. And I'd like to guide you through my understanding of the definition, what it looks like, and then give you a couple of examples in my personal and professional life. Firstly, ethical leadership is not just about doing the right thing. It has some key principles of integrity, fairness, honesty, and accountability. So let's break that down. Firstly, the dictionary definition of ethical is the moral principles that guide behavior. And the second part is leadership, which is the governance of an organization or how you run or guide a group of people. And putting that together, it's a decision based on values and leading to the common good. So I'd like to ask you what ethical leadership looks like in your day-to-day life. In your work, is it about standing up for a colleague? When you're in a social setting, is it speaking up when something doesn't feel quite right? What does it look like to you? As I mentioned earlier, I'd like to discuss the key elements of ethical leadership encompass. Firstly, it's the moral decision making and how you act may affect other people. It's the integrity and honesty of your behavior. Then respect and fairness of what you do, how that might affect other people, and treating others fairly. And holding yourself to account and being accountable for your actions. And as a leader, whether it be in a professional setting or in a family or social setting, is trying to be a good role model for behavior that aligns with these values. And in a professional sense, it's promoting a ethical culture so that people who you work with or work for you feel happy in the environment. So this leads me on to a couple of examples I'd like to give. In my professional life, I am a chartered surveyor. I am a member of the RICS, which is the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors. And ethics is actually one of the key components that they want you to uphold. And indeed, every 3 years, we have to refresh ourselves with ethical training. And that's not to say training, it's more to keep your standards high, but also to keep them a bit more sharper so that sometimes you might think lines might be blurred, and we don't want that. And the RICS, one of the main codes of conduct and the rules is in fact honesty and integrity, so that we uphold a profession that the public have confidence in. So let me give you an example. Luckily, I haven't personally experienced this scenario, but I'd like to give you an example. I'm an agent on a property acting for the landlord, and they want us to market a property for let. And after a couple of viewings, someone approaches me on the side after the viewing and says, "Oh, I'm a travel agent and I really want this shop. Would you convince your client to let it to me for slightly cheaper? And I'll give you a luxury holiday for that." So for non-professional persons, you might think, "Oh, that's quite nice." But for me as a chartered surveyor, that's definitely alarm bells. That will be stepping over the line of being unethical. As an example, that would be considered a bribe. I absolutely would not be acting ethically if I took that bribe, because I'm acting for my client and for their best interests, and not my own. So integrity and honesty needs to be upheld so that my client has confidence in me, and that, even if nobody else knows, I know that that's not acceptable. And leading to an example in a personal capacity. So as you know, I'm on the committee for the Solent speakers, but I'm also on the committee for the Portsmouth Property Association, PPA for short, if you like. And for that aspect, I'm the person who deals with the social media, and I'm not just representing myself, I'm representing my business as a membership, and I'm also representing the PPA when I'm posting on their social media channels. So in terms of ethical leadership, I'd say I'll give you a scenario of, I could so easily have the power go to my head and post all about Wheeler and Lie this, Wheeler and Lie that, and ignore everybody else who's a member. But that, again, would be absolutely unethical. It's holding myself to account that I'm being fair and reasonable for the other members. I'm not self-serving. I absolutely have to make sure the integrity of the PPA is upheld. And people think that might be small things don't matter and compromises can be made, but there's an absolute line you shouldn't cross, because the small things build up, and it's about the bigger picture and creating the right culture for example, the PPA or anything else that you might be doing. So, as to wrap it up, in my summary, is that ethical leadership isn't about perfection. It's about making the right choices, even if you think no one's watching. And a bit like Spider-Man, it comes with great responsibility in leadership roles, and it's a privilege. And you certainly should try to uphold to your values and reflect them onto others. So I'll ask you once again, how does ethical leadership appear in your life? And finally, how would you model it to other people? Thank you.